Hey everyone, it is Stove here. I'm back with another episode, another video. This time we are going to review last week's college football schedule. And obviously, first up, we got Tuesday through Friday's stuff. Obviously, you had Akron taking the win against Bowling Green at Bowling Green. Western Michigan taking a W at Northern Illinois. Ohio then being the only home team to win at home until I believe UNLV was able to do that same thing on Friday against Hawaii. I got a couple of other, quite a few other away teams winning, including, besides North Carolina State, they actually won at home against Florida, which probably a lot of people wasn't actually expecting Florida State to let happen, but North Carolina, especially the last few weeks, have put on pretty good shows compared to what they had in the beginning of their year. Now, going off of Saturday, starting off, we had Rutgers at Ohio State, and it was a good showing for Ohio State. They handled business in the first half. It was very much a struggle that first quarter, I believe, from what I've seen, and the second half pretty much had us extend our lead little by little, but created a lot more opportunities for our run game, which Bo Jackson did start. He was the first person to actually score a touchdown in the game, which was in the first quarter. So very much props to him and our quarterback, saying some backups even bringing in their talent and their work ethic throughout the third and fourth quarter, because that's pretty much when we actually got to see a lot of the backups. Same thing with Texas A&M. They absolutely crushed Samford. Georgia basically did the same thing with Charlotte. Then you actually had a very good back and forth game, but Oregon pretty much kept it wide enough, the point gap wide enough for them to win against their conference rival opponent, USC. But solid game by both of them. Obviously, like I said, Oregon putting in the better work. And I believe now USC is going to drop down to probably under 20, I'm assuming, between 20 and 25. Even if they lose against someone like Oregon, I don't think they're going to drop out of the top 25 unless there was some stuff that happened, like Missouri were to win against Oklahoma. Then obviously you would have people like Notre Dame and Alabama get boosted up. But speaking of that, though, Oklahoma had a very close matchup against Missouri, and Oklahoma, though, still ended up winning. Their defense played phenomenal, kept them to 6 points, and their offense pretty much was able to run as much clock as possible and make plays when needed. Obviously, Missouri's defense also held Oklahoma's offense to only 17 points. Very good on them, too. But again, Oklahoma just showed that they are the better team as of right now, whenever the comparison comes to both of them. Notre Dame absolutely crushed Syracuse. To me, I was thinking Notre Dame was going to win that game. However, I was not thinking that Notre Dame was going to absolutely obliterate Syracuse, and we didn't really get to see too much throwing for Notre Dame too much. Like, well, I say that, but I'm pretty sure they did throw a lot of passing yards, but they had like 4 or 5 QBs throwing that game, and they still ended up scoring as much as they did. Same with Alabama. Alabama absolutely crushed Eastern Illinois. But sorry guys. Man, just can't get away from that. Eastern Illinois, though, from what my Alabama fan friend, he said that Alabama could have done a lot more, and their defense did spectacular, but still didn't look good in certain things, which I'm sure you could always say that certain people, certain points. Sorry, I was looking at my fantasy stuff. Winning, by the way, 190 points. But I can understand that. I can understand where he's coming from with that. But you're not always gonna do what Notre Dame or some of these other schools are gonna be able to do. I mean, hell, I think Alabama did score a higher score than 56 during this season, but was also against another very underappreciated and very small school that they ended up destroying as well. But same thing like Notre Dame, Alabama did play quite a few quarterbacks during this game as well. The Alabama's backups on offense and defense played incredible, to the point where they did still end up not allow a single point against Eastern Illinois, which is exactly what you want to see regardless of the type of team that they play. BYU staying ranked, beating Cincinnati at Cincinnati, an incredible feat for that BYU offense, and defense kept Cincinnati to 14 points. Now granted, not to crap on Cincinnati, but I do generally think Cincinnati is a solid team. I just don't think at the moment they are that consistent top 25 team yet. And they've shown glimmers of the type of team they absolutely can be. But with teams like BYU, Iowa State still being right there, Utah being right there, who Utah is right behind BYU, ranked at number 12, which Utah and Kansas State absolutely kicking the crap out of each other's defenses just so Utah wins 51-47, which is nuts. And then you have I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure, but yeah, you also have Arizona State, who actually next week is going to be facing Arizona University, which I'm going to love watching that game. But you also have Arizona, who is not like the best of the best in the Big 12, but still can be very good competitive-wise. And like I said, I just think Cincinnati can be there. It's just the only thing is whenever it comes to the bigger games and the more important games, they do tend to end up losing whenever it counts the most. Now, granted, with that all being said, they have won big games for themselves still. Not saying that they've never done that, because they have. But because of this loss, they will obviously not be making... They'll probably make a huge Pro Bowl for the... Well, not Pro Bowl. A huge bowl game for themselves. But I just don't think it'll end up being that big of a deal to certain people that look at college, but I think to college fans it should be a huge deal, and I think you guys should actually watch Cincinnati a little bit more. Same with watching more of the Big 12 teams, more of the ACC teams, watching more of the American Conference teams, and see how they do. I mean, generally it's impressive to see some of these teams be able to do the certain things that they're able to do. Now, granted, of course, they're not facing the same caliber or the same competitive schedule as, say, the Big Ten or the SEC, but it's important to understand that they obviously always could schedule their first, like, 3 games, or like any of their non-conference games, they could always schedule more competitive teams, which we have obviously have seen before with a very good example is USF, University Southern Florida, or South Florida. That team right there literally scheduled 3 straight Miami teams, and those 3 straight Miami teams were favorited to win against them. Now, USF still did pretty damn good against Boise State. Then they also did well against it was either not Florida State, but it was a good, I'm trying to think. It was a couple of the Florida teams, well, a few of the Florida teams that I think they did fantastic in. Granted, they then lost against Miami, but they were able to get back, win some games, but they've obviously also put themselves out of the running after losing against, I believe, Navy and Tulane, I believe. So, with that being said, though, it's still kind of heartbreaking a little bit because USF, they still have a very solid team, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of those guys do get drafted, probably more later in the draft, but I think you could get some surprise players coming out of that team. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. Obviously, going off of Miami being able to beat Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech, then Vandy was able to mop the floor against Kentucky at home. Georgia Tech actually losing against Pitt, which that's unbelievable, especially at Georgia Tech's arena. Pitt upsetting Georgia Tech, so I'm sure Pitt's probably going to climb up, maybe even squeak by into that top 25. Texas and Arkansas going back and forth for the most part, but Arch Manning had 389 passing yards, pretty solid for him, but never really wavering too much, and still being able to keep the lead far enough to at least relax and run down some time when needed. Michigan beating Maryland. Tennessee beating Florida. Oh, that's who it was. USF beating Florida, I believe, in a close match, and then losing to Miami. But then you have Illinois, who actually lost against Wisconsin at Wisconsin. Pretty big win there for Wisconsin after losing some of the games that they ended up losing. Houston also losing against TCU. TCU going to Houston and end up upsetting Houston to a certain degree just by 3 points. Very close game too. Tulane beating Temple. Arizona State beating Colorado. Really not too bad for either of those teams. Obviously, Tulane and Arizona State probably significantly showing that they're significantly better than their opponents that they were matched up with last weekend. Northwestern actually beating Minnesota by a very close margin by 3 points, 38-35. SMU beating the crap out of Louisville, which Louisville was also ranked for like 2 weeks until they ended up falling off just a little bit. Wake Forest doing their thing against Delaware. Iowa State doing their thing against Kansas. Army versus Tulsa, very close game by 1 point. Tulsa ended up beating Army at home. James Madison making it a very close game, but winning at home against Washington State. Arizona beating Baylor. So now you pretty much got Arizona and Arizona State going up against each other this coming weekend. Well, it's either this coming weekend or like Friday night, I believe. I would have to check. I believe it might be Friday night. But you have those two teams on a winning streak going in and facing each other. It's going to be beautiful, I'll tell you what. Old Dominion taking care of business. Auburn absolutely crushing Mercer, which I'm pretty sure Alabama also faced that same team, crushing them. Kennesaw State beating Missouri, some more like the smaller people here, well, smaller teams here, but still very good games if you want to watch the highlights. Nevada taking the win at Wyoming. You got UConn having a back and forth game against Florida Atlantic, taking the win there. LT taking the win in overtime against Liberty. Let's see. Iowa having a close match against Michigan State, winning at home. Duke and North Carolina having a close matchup. Duke is actually, football-wise, has actually had a pretty solid year this year. Pretty impressed with them. Florida International doing their thing at home. Let's see. Oklahoma State losing against UCF. Troy taking care of business at home against Georgia State. South Carolina taking care of business at home against Coastal Carolina. Clemson doing their thing against another smaller D1 school. Texas State doing their thing. Penn State really putting it on Nebraska. I honestly thought that was actually going to be an even closer game just because of the way Nebraska has been working this hard for getting back into the top 25, but losing against Penn State. Penn State still has some solid guys and very talented roster too. And don't get me wrong, I feel like regardless of the head coach that they get starting next year, I think Penn State's still going to be that challenge for a lot of D1 schools, especially that Big Ten. Air Force making a mockery of themselves at home, losing against New Mexico. Boise State taking care of business at home. Stanford beating California. I believe that was the whole not trading the axe, but giving the axe to whoever won this game. And obviously Stanford again doing their thing, so solid work from them. North Texas putting another high scoring game up. They, in my opinion, I think they don't necessarily have too big of a defense, at least in the grand scheme of things, but their offense has, in my opinion, never looked better. 56-24 to Rice's 24. LSU having a very close match against Western Kentucky. That's incredible to see. Washington beating UCLA. And yeah, Fresno State losing at home, and San Diego State actually winning at home. So, like I said, pretty solid work. Actually, North Texas's quarterback, Drew Mestamaker, 469 passing yards. Solid. I'm sure he had 3+ touchdowns. Solid quarterback there. But yeah, that's pretty much all what that was this past weekend. Solid work, solid matchups, and hopefully whenever I do another college video, I'll be able to give a little bit more detail throughout a lot of these other games, and especially since there's so much going on, especially this last week for the regular season for all of these teams. It comes down to this and who will be making it to the conference championships, who will be making it to the college playoffs, even if they don't make it to the conference championships. Really just has to see, and hopefully I could even make a video on that, just to talk about all of the conference championships going on, and who I predict to see who would be in the college football playoffs. So with that being said, you guys have a fantastic day, a fantastic night. Please comment down below. Let me know what you think of this stuff. Give me some some stuff to probably work on. If you guys comment something for me, I could comment right back to you. I would want to be able to get your narrative in as much as my own narrative into these videos as much as possible. And yeah, like I said, well, I did post on my little Facebook, but I hopefully will be posting a video about a certain thing that's happened in Ohio and what effects it could bring, pros and cons, of course, of this, and the last 6 months of what's been going down with this particular thing. So I'm not saying I'm really just saying that it may come up. I may put it out, I may not, who knows, but if I do, then here's my warning. If I don't, it's only just because I feel like it may get my butt in trouble, but we'll see. I don't think it will, but who knows. Anyway, you guys have a very nice night, very nice day, whatever. Have a good one. Peace.